Hello, welcome to Firearms of America, and today finally a very long time requested. These are Adidas Terrex Pathmaker boots. Finally, now these boots I have been requested, probably the most requested boots on my channel, and the first time they were requested was probably about a year ago. So it took me a while to get them, and finally I am happy. Let's get into the review. So as always, if you guys don't have the full 10-15 minutes to watch the whole review, let me give you a brief overview. Definitely a great boot. Overall, I do love it. I think it's on the pricier side, $190. Definitely not cheap, but I do love the comfort. They are fairly lightweight, definitely good for long distance hiking without any problems at all. Very comfortable, and of course, you know, they do provide a sufficient amount of protection. The material is nice. They're built very nicely. They do have very good reviews overall online, although they are for some reason pretty new on Amazon, only about 20 reviews. So if you do have time to watch the whole review, let's get into it. Let's get into the details. So as some of you already know, this review is specifically for my ultimate survival boots review. Basically, not just your regular fashion style boot, you know, wearing, although this is fashionable looking, yeah, it looks pretty cool, but if there was some serious situation, you know, a catastrophe, war, natural disaster, whatever, and you had a pair of boots, and this was the boot that you had, you put it on, or you had it stored in you know, in your closet, and you had an option to put them on, and you had to leave the house and walk for miles and miles, and sometimes run, sometimes fight, sometimes climb, whatever necessary to do to survive. Would this be an overall a good boot to be in, to survive in? Let's get straight into it. So how we do the judgment is based on 8 different criteria. Criteria number 1, of course, the comfort level, one of the most important ones. So how I test all of my boots on this channel. I do a 3-mile run without stopping, and then a 5-mile walk, again without stopping, everything, wearing a boot for about 7-8 hours straight without taking them off. I do this equally for all of the boots so that I can, you know, compare them equally and not be biased in any sort of way. So this boots overall, like I said, I do like the comfort level, and there are a few factors that contribute to that comfort level. First of all, let's get this out of the way, the weight. And as you can see, just below 20 ounce, 19.5. And if you watch any of my other reviews, I always say this is really based on my personal experience, but anything under 20 ounce, you should be pretty good for running, for walking, for extended periods of time, and really extended periods of time. I'm talking about distances longer than 2 miles. Longer than 2 miles is already an extended walk to me, you know. And then 3 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles a day, it's probably close to the max that you will be able to cover in a day, although some professional hikers, they can do obviously more, but anything over 2 miles is already some decent distance, right? And whenever it comes to the weight, under 20 ounce in my experience have been that good balanced weight that you can run in the boots. Anything over, whenever you go over 20 ounce, you start feeling it. You know, I do run 3 miles in the boots, and if it's anything over 20 ounce, I definitely feel it. After 1 mile, 1.5 mile, I start breaking down. It's really hard to run. But this is good. This is pretty good. Now there's another important factor that contributes to the comfort level, of course, is the inner sole. And let me take it out so that I can show you. And as you can see, the inner sole is really nothing special, just a very basic flat inner sole. There isn't really much of an arch going on, although you do have the bed for the heel, which is good, gives you some extra stability. Also, whenever you take out the inner sole, you do have a very nice, very comfortable layer of just a soft material. It's not really anything that takes on an impact per se, but whenever you put the inner sole back in combination with the softness, it's really nice, because most of the times whenever you take out the inner soles in most of the boots, you do have just this going straight into the hard rubber. Not the case here. Now, another factor that contributes to the comfort level is the padding, and I think Adidas did, this is one of the best things that they did in this boot, is the padding. A really good padding implemented in the tongue. You can really wear these boots without the long socks. You can wear them without socks and it'll still be comfortable because of that really good padding. The same goes for this whole side. For the shaft, you do have a nice padding in the ankles, and on the back, a really soft material. It doesn't give you a lot of protection, which we will talk about later, but whenever it comes to comfort, it definitely contributes to that. And the very last thing that I wanted to mention here in the comfort is the toe box. On the inside, they did a very good job adding some squishy, good, comfortable, soft padding. So whenever you're running, whenever you know, do the active stuff in the boot, you know, jumping around, basically it holds your, you know, your foot in place and your toe doesn't wobble. And if it does a little bit, you don't really have your toe hitting the hard, you know, fabric that is on the outside, because it has that padding on the inside. Okay, so definitely I do love the comfort level. I would give this boot a very solid 9 out of 10. I think if they implemented a little bit better inner sole with a little bit more arch, just to give you a better support for your foot, I could have easily given this boot a, you know, a 10 out of 10. But 9 out of 10, I don't give it a lot to a lot of boots on this channel. If you watched my videos, you already know. Alright, so let's move on to the criterion number 2, which is proofing and protection. So, first of all, for some reason this boot is not advertised as waterproof, although my own testing it for the waterproofing, I do think this boot is waterproof. In my experience, it is. I'm not sure why it's not advertised as waterproof. At least there is no mention of whether this boot is waterproof or not. However, it does feature the gusseted tongue, so I think maybe they just forgot to mention the waterproofing of the boot. I am not sure. If you guys do have any information about it, let me know in the comments below. But I personally think these are waterproof boots. I can't be wrong. Anyway, protection. Let's talk about the protection. There isn't really much protection going on in the toe. As you can see, the toe is soft, so any kind of impact, anything dropped on your toe, you will definitely feel it. The same goes for the ankles. There is some padding, which I already mentioned, but it's mostly for the comfort. Whenever it comes to protection, it doesn't really give you anything a lot. And the same for the heel. Heel is a little bit reinforced, just like in most boots, but nothing really sufficient. Okay, so let's move on to the quality and the design features. Okay, quality-wise, obviously, we all know Adidas brand. I have been Adidas fan for a very long time. I do have a few sneakers from those guys. So I do love the quality of the stuff that Adidas makes. Like I said, there aren't a lot of reviews. The link is in the description below for the Amazon if you want to check it out. Only about 20 something reviews, almost 5 stars, but I think it's gonna pick up. I think it was just added recently to Amazon. That's why it doesn't have a lot of reviews there. But judging by all the requests from you guys, this boot has been out for a while and has been pretty popular. Now, whenever it comes to design features, usually I like to talk about the lacing system in here, and really this is one of my biggest complaints whenever it comes to this boot. I do not like these strings, this lace that is being used on this boot. Now, it looks pretty cool, it looks kind of fashionable, but I am not a fan of flat strings. Really not a huge deal. In fact, you do have another set of strings which are exactly the same, flat, only white instead of red. Not a big deal. Why? Because you can easily just replace these for a nice, good, round strings, and it will be absolutely amazing because the actual hardware is absolutely great. Probably some of the best hardware that you can find, because there are 4 pairs of closed hooks and they're all metal, and there are 2 pairs of open hooks, also metal. So whenever it comes to gliding, it should be gliding very easily, but it's not because the strings are flat. So once you replace them to a round strings, you will be gliding just very nicely because the hardware is awesome. And I mean, this just metal material is just great. It's gonna last you forever without any fear of it snapping or breaking. Okay, so done with that. Let's move on to the criteria number 4, the outsole. Traction and stability. Now, whenever it comes to the outsole, I do like it a lot. I think it's very nicely balanced. There's good amount of aggression. There's good amount of flatness. Now, the surfaces that I test all my boots on, I start with older asphalt, newer tarmac, sand, dry sand, wet sand, and rocky road, wet grass, dry grass, some trail surface, so really a whole bunch, including some flat surfaces like tile and marble. And these boots perform great on all of them. Now, the only surface that I did not test these boots on is ice and snow. So if you guys do have experience with these boots on ice and snow, let us know in the comments below. It will be very helpful. But judging by the description about these boots, this should be pretty good on ice and snow. I think it should be pretty good because it has decent amount of aggression. Nothing really crazy. I wouldn't say this is something you can go, you know, and hike a snowy mountain, for example. Probably be a little bit too dangerous. I mean, there's really not a lot of boots out there that you can just go and wear and on a snowy mountain, because most of the times you do need to put on, you know, metal spikes, and really you can put metal spikes on any kind of boot. But as a good balance of flatness and aggression, I think they did a really good job. The only thing I wish they implemented here was a little ridges here and here on both sides, just to give you that extra support whenever you're doing some climbing a rope, climbing a tree. The ridges on the side of the bottom sole really do help. Now, the flexibility of the bottom sole, it is not really flexible, but I do like it's different. This bottom sole is different from a lot of other boots that I've seen. As you can see, there's a hard rubber layer on the outside. Then there is a very soft layer, which typically you have the full boot, the full top layer is the soft. However, from that it goes into another hard layer in the bottom sole, which really is, I think this is the first boot that I'm reviewing on this channel that is this way. Okay, so let's move on to the next criterion. Criterion number 5, the temperature. Now, these boots are actually insulated. As you can see, they do have some decent amount of insulation, so they should be pretty warm whenever it comes to the cold temperatures. Now, the coldest temperatures that I've tested these boots in were about 35 degrees, so not too cold. Definitely cold, but not too cold. So if you guys do have experience with these boots in colder than those temperatures, again, let everybody know in the comments below how they served you, because that would be very helpful. Now, in the hotter temperatures, the hottest that I've tested these boots on were about 95, closer to 100 degrees here in Florida. But they are actually very breathable, surprisingly. I thought they would be much hotter, especially to run in, but the material that they're made with is actually very nice and breathable. And they actually call it a climawarm, breathable climawarm, which keeps your feet warm, dry, and at the same time kind of gives you that breathability. Yeah, so let's move on to the criteria number 6, the sizing. They are definitely true to the size, absolutely no problems with that. Criteria number 7, the balance of application. Basically, if this really was your last boot that you were, you know, wearing, or you put on, something bad happened, would this be a good boot for your survival? I think this boot really is a great option. Overall, I think honestly, it's a fantastic option. It's very comfortable. It does have decent amount of, you know, proofing. In my experience, didn't have problems with waterproofing. Decent amount of protection. If you compromise it for the lightweight, I think it's a very good compromise. I do like the outsole. I think it has a great balance. It gives you good traction, very good stability. Overall, a great boot. I think it's definitely a very, very good option. And another plus that I wanted to mention here, it looks very everyday-ish, very appropriate and acceptable to wear it in really a lot of different situations and not look kind of weird, you know, if for example you were wearing a tactical boot to a grocery store, weird, you know. People looking at you and saying, what the hell are you wearing? And why? This you can probably wear to a grocery store without any problems. You can wear it to work, you can wear it on a date and kind of look fashionable in a way. So I think this is definitely an advantage of the good looks. And the very last criterion, of course, is the price. And this is really the second complaint. The first complaint was the bad strings, which are easily replaced. The price, however, you can't really replace it, unfortunately. This is the only real problem with this boot. They're $190, so almost in the 200s. Definitely a bitey price, pretty expensive. So, you know, it's a lot of competition, a lot of good, really good hiking boots are there in that price range. In fact, one of the best, my favorite boots that I actually gave an Ultimate Survival boot of 2019 was Salomon, from Salomon, Ultra 3X GTX. Always confuse the name. And they are actually 160s. So, you know, really pushing whenever it comes to the price. So really up to you. You have to be really a big fan of this boot to get them over some other options that are available. So let me know, guys, in the comments below what you think about this boot. Would you consider them for your Ultimate Survival? Would you consider them as your regular hiking or winter boot? Let me know in the comments below. As always, if you do have any requests for reviews, drop them in the comments below and I will be very happy to address them. Additional details on specifications and stuff like that you can find in the description below. And the link to Amazon is in the description below as well. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. This is Firearms for America, and I'll see you guys in the next video.